Hey, BillO'Reilly.com premium members, welcome to the No Spin News for Thursday, August 17th, 2017. A wild Q&A with Glenn Beck on his radio program this morning about the Charlottesville situation, but more importantly about these far-left groups that are subverting our democratic process, how they're doing it, and how it's affecting the media, politics, and everything else. We posted it on BillO'Reilly.com. Without the commercials, so you can just cruise through it. I really recommend you listen to this. It's quite something. So let's begin today with a CBS poll. Now, the CBS polling outfit, not the greatest, but, these are snapshots that are worth considering, I think. The first question was, do you approve or disapprove of the way Donald Trump has handled the response to Charlottesville? Approve, 34%. Disapprove, 55%. Don't know, 12%. All right. As you may know, Donald Trump clarified his statements on the events in Charlottesville Saturday, and he explicitly criticized racist groups and violence. Do you feel it was necessary for Trump to make additional statements on Monday, or was that not necessary? Necessary, 55%. Not necessary, 36%. Don't know, not paying attention, 9%. All right, third question. So far, do you think the policies of the Trump administration have encouraged racial unity in the USA, have encouraged racial division in the USA, or have not had any effect either way? Encourage racial unity, 12%. Encourage racial division, 44%. Not much effect, 39%. So when you add that up, that's 51-44. Not a trouncing, which shows you the huge divide between the folks and the media. Final question for you. From what have you heard or read, do you consider the attack that led to injuries and loss of life in Charlottesville to be an act of domestic terrorism or not? Yes, act of terrorism, 63%. No, not an act of domestic terrorism, 27%. It was terrorism, look just like today in Barcelona. In Barcelona, Spain, same thing. Same deal. Drives the car into a plaza where there are hundreds of people milling around trying to kill people. And this is what ISIS does. And this is what this guy in Charlottesville did. Same thing. No difference. So we should note that. Now, part of my conversation with Beck, we got into a number of things. The Economic Council that President Trump put together, he has now dissolved because some people resigned from that council. Now, some of them did it for conscious reasons. They don't like how Trump's conducting his presidency. Okay. In their opinion, they have a right to do it. But many of them are doing it because pressure groups like Color of Change, Media Matters, are saying if you associate with Donald Trump at all, we're going to call for a boycott of your company. That's what these people do. That's what they did to me. And they're paid to do it. This doesn't happen on the far right, only on the far left. So you had a bunch of people on that presidential council say, oh, I'm going to resign. Again, some did it conscious, some did it out of fear. Same thing in the media. Believe me when I tell you, many, perhaps most, commentators on cable news, not talk radio, that's a different thing, on cable news are frightened to have anything to do with Donald Trump right now. All right, one of the exceptions is Sean Hannity. Now, whether you agree with Hannity or not, he's in for Trump and he's never wavered. And he's been threatened with boycotts all over the place. But to Hannity's credit, he attacks back. I wish I had, but there was a complicated reason why I didn't, and I can't really get into that. But Hannity learned a lesson from me, and he's stating his case, and he isn't wavering. Now, again, you don't have to agree with him, but he has a right to say what he believes, not be threatened. And that's the conversation I had with Glenn Beck today that I hope you listen to. All right, I want to bring in Peter Hasson, associate editor for the Daily Caller, who has researched some of these far-left pressure groups. So first of all, my comments leading up to you, Peter, did I make any mistakes?
Nope.
Okay. So let's now give the folks some information, some factual information. On the far left, how many groups would you say are threatening sponsors and politicians right now?
Honestly, I would say at least a dozen. And it's spearheaded by, the two groups that you named, Color of Change and Media Matters. But really, it's just part of a broader strategy on the left to kind of go around the people and just pull out the plug by going after these corporations and telling them, we're going to tarnish your brand. We're going to portray all of you guys as fascists if you continue to support whether it's you or whether it's Sean Hannity or even if it's the RNC. They're basically threatening these
they're threatening
corporations
them with
who
economic,
hold a lot of influence.
Right.
Yeah.
So Media Matters. All right. Tell the folks about, because that's the most powerful one.
Oh, yeah.
Tell the folks about them.
Okay, so they are a very, very, very well-funded activist group on the left, whose entire purpose is to silence conservative voices. And so, at the moment, they're one of the groups that is currently, doing everything they can to get Sean Hannity taken off air. And they do this by smearing hosts. They do this by basically working with liberal journalists. But one of the main things that they do is they lead these boycott campaigns, and they go straight for the advertisers.
Right.
That they don't make their cases to the viewers. If they tell the advertisers, we're going to tell people you're supporting
fascism or whatever it may be. Now that's David Brock is the leader of that. He's a Hillary Clinton confidant.
They've accepted a lot of money from George Soros and all the big names.
Right,
the big
Ford Foundation,
donors,
all the big far left money people churnal money into Media Matters. Brock makes millions. Cheryl Atkinson's book, Smear, and we had Cheryl on a few weeks ago, documents the millions of dollars Brock is making by doing this. Color of Change, this was founded by Van Jones, who's on CNN. They're calling now for a boycott of the NFL, the National Football League, over the Colin Kaepernick thing. So they're more race-based, but they demonstrated outside of Fox News over me. They were paid to do it. And this is not a story that's widely told in the national media. Why not?
Honestly, in part, it's because all these activists are buddy with the journalists who aren't going to call them out, and they all kind of share the same agenda. There are a lot of people in the national media who want to see Sean Hannity get taken out, and so to a certain extent, they share a lot of the same goals. But then on top of that, I think a lot of people in the media are scared to go after these groups because they've shown that they'll go after people in the media if they say what they don't like. And so they'll go after you, they'll go after Hannity, they'll go after Glenn Beck.
And they've been very, very successful.
Color of Change did, yeah.
They've been very successful. So do you believe that they, Color of Change, Media Matters, and others, and there's a whole bunch of other groups tied into the same thing, they're all coordinated. Do you believe that they affected some of these CEOs who jumped off the Economic Council in the Trump White House?
I would be shocked if they didn't have any impact, because there's a reason people give them millions and millions of dollars, and it's to do exactly that.
We saw on the internet direct threats by these groups to the companies involved. If you stay on the council, we're going to mobilize and tell people not to buy your products or whatever. That's on the internet. You can see it in it. All right, last question for you. Overall, I made a point on the Beck show. You want to talk Nazis? I'll talk Nazis. When Hitler was on the rise in the early 30s, his stormtroopers, SA people, actually went to the media and said, if you say anything bad about us, we're going to burn your whole place down, beat you up. And then they went to big corporations and said, you better not say anything bad about us, or we're going to get all of our people over here. What's the difference? What's the difference between what happened in the early 1930s on the far right in Germany to now?
I mean, to be honest, it's a lot of the same thug politics type tactics, which is, we are going to come after you. We're going to come after your friends. We're going to come after your family and your business if you get in our way. So don't get in our way. Kind of, do what we want, and we'll protect you. So it's like an old, Al Capone type thing, where they're like, well, we'll protect you from the violence that we're doing if you go along with what we want to do. And I think
that's a very good.
Every one of those corporations is.
That's a very good, Peter. That's a very good analogy. What the mafia does is it comes in and says, "Hey, you know what? This is a pretty rough neighborhood here, but we'll protect you unless you don't cooperate. And our fee for protection is this. It's extortion. That's what it's called, extortion. All right, and it is a little bit different here, but it's the same goal. Do what we want, enrich us, hurt our competition, the conservatives, and you'll be fine. Don't do that, and you're going to pay a price. All right, Peter, we appreciate it from the Daily Caller, who's studied this, and you can find out on the Caller, what's going on. Okay, so let's get to Steve Bannon. I don't follow party politics much. You guys know that if you've followed me for years. I'm not a party politics guy. The Trump administration, to me, they do what they do. I thought Kelly was a good appointment as chief of staff. The general is a no-nonsense guy. He didn't look too thrilled about the Charlottesville presentation from the president, but the president has the final word. Now, Steve Bannon, very close advisor to Donald Trump. He's a controversial guy. I don't believe a word they say about him because I always give people a presumption of innocence. Always, no matter who they are. And I don't really follow the ins and outs of what Steve Bannon says. So he gives an interview, much like Scaramucci did, to a non-friendly entity. And he comes out and he says some stuff about North Korea. There's no military solution. He calls the Nazis reprobates or whatever he does. He says that he has a lot of power, Steve Bannon says. But to me, this is all self-defeating for him. Again, I got no pony in this carousel. I don't know Steve Bannon. I met him once. I don't know the president listens to him, doesn't listen to him. I don't know any of that. But to me, reading the situation, he's not going to be there much longer in the White House because it's not Kelly's kind of guy. And the interview that he gave, you look at this and you say, well, why bother? Why do this?